Hello, everyone. My name is Roger Rugi, and I am a mentor with the Pathfinder Resilience Program and Navigating Adversity. Today, I want to give you a very special technique that is really fast when we are feeling a strong emotional reaction to something that's going on in our lives. That could be you out in the field as a first responder, for example, or you're just at home and the telephone rings and it's some bad news on the other end of that line. It could be something as simple as a person cutting you off in traffic and your resilience is just really low. And so off you go, right? You're in that reaction mode rather than responding, staying calm, cool, collected. And like any of the techniques that we've explained to you in this membership area, the idea is to practice them so often that they become second nature. And once you've achieved something like that, well, you have a lot of dollars back in your resilience bank account. And it's like compounding interest. The more money you put in there, the better that's going to be for when the tough day asserts itself. And you'll find that day to day, you're just going to be less reactive. And then when the big things happen, you might have your little moment, but you're going to recover very quickly. You're going to be able to get back in the game and to move through that challenge, that adversity, with a whole lot more ease and grace. That's everything that we do here. So the technique I'm going to show you today is really for that moment where you find yourself a little bit hijacked by life. Now, this comes from Dr. Christine Smith, who had me experience this recently. We did some work together, and it was amazing because I've been doing this work for a long time, and the response that I got from it was very quick. So I want to make sure that we just go over some of the basics here of what we're actually accomplishing with the technique. Now, I want you to think of fight or flight, but we're going to go back a little ways in history where we weren't as safe as we are today. Believe it or not, we're in the safest time in human history. We go back a little ways, and every single day was a day of survival. We didn't know if we were going to make it. And so this fight or flight response was really primed for us to either be able to flee because we got that extra energy flood in the body, or fight, or in some cases freeze and just really hold still while the danger passed. The FFF activation, it's often called. Now, if you think about our body posture, we will typically, when having a threat, face it head on. We'll look it right in the eyes, and we are now completely focused to that threat. We clench our jaw. We ball our fists up so we can fight. This becomes a weapon. And our feet flatten out. We base ourselves so that we have a strong foundation if we're going to have to fight that predator, that threat that's coming at us. So this technique is designed to do exactly the opposite of what the body does in a fight or flight response. And by doing that, we invoke the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest side of the fence, rather than that sympathetically dominant side of the fence that's ready to take on the threat. So this is super simple. And again, don't let simple fool you. It's often the most powerful techniques that we can find. So here's how it works. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our tongue and we're going to put it between our upper and lower teeth, just like this. This way, we can't clench our jaw. It takes a lot of energy to clench that jaw, but by just sticking our tongue there, now we have the inability to clench that jaw without biting our tongue, and we're not going to do that. We're also going to take our head and just turn it slightly offline. This invokes the vagus nerve, and it calms and sends us into a parasympathetic response. Remember, threat, we face it head on, everything's tight, off to the side, relaxed, huge. We also open our eyes really wide to deal with the threat. So we're going to close them to reduce visual stimulation, just like we would in the 3-minute meditation, for example. Same idea, soften, tongue, close the eyes. Now, since we would ball our fists normally under a threat, we open them. So you're just going to have your hands flat, and you can have them resting on your thighs. If you're standing somewhere, just rest them comfortably at your side and just kind of open up the palms, kind of flatten out the palm a little bit. You don't have to get aggressive about that. Just open. Anything but this clenched place is exactly what we want to do. We also tend to contract our body because we're prepared for fighting. Here, we're going to open. We're going to just open up this chest cavity as wide as we can make that open. We're going to, pull our shoulders back and not stick our chest out like we're ready to fight that way either, but we're just going to have an open posture. And I do recommend that you sit when you do this, but you don't have to. You can absolutely stand. The last little piece that we're going to add is normally our feet flatten out, right? So that we have that powerful base and we kind of crouch down. So we're opening the body, but now we're going to take our toes and just gently curl them. We're not trying to make a claw out of it, right? It's not like there's a lot of effort in this curling of the toes, but we're just going to curl the toes. Why? Well, we take away that natural tendency to base ourselves out or flee, right? Because even when we're fleeing, everything we just talked about is happening. We're all contracted up and we're running as fast as we can to get away from the threat. So we're doing the exact opposite of what the body wants to do in a fight or flight situation. And by doing that, we now are relaxing our neurology. This is sending a signal up to the brain that our environment is okay and we're safe. And so we become less reactive. Now, when should we do this technique? Anytime you're feeling a little panic, a little anxiety, a little fear, a little anger, a little frustration, resentment, bitterment. Yeah, bitterment? Is that even a word? How about bitterness? So you get the idea. If it's an emotion that's on the negative side of the fence, do this technique. Now we're going to add to it just slightly as we open up the body, right? So the eyes are closed, heads offline, tongue between the teeth. I'm going to open my body posture, open my palms nice and flat, curl my toes, and I'm going to take about 4 nice, deep, slow belly breaths. We're going to do that LSD breathing. And if you don't know what that is, go check out the 3-minute meditation and the LSD breathing techniques. They're all there for you. But LSD means light, slow, and deep. And we fill from the bottom up. So we're going to breathe a little deeper and a little slower than usual while holding this opposite posture from the fight or flight response that we experience when we're under stress. And that is it. Do about 3 or 4 breaths, you're going to be parasympathetic. No question about it. It is one of the fastest ways I know to reverse the reactive nature of our mind and body to whatever we're experiencing. Now, my recommendation is you don't wait for a big life event to practice this because that's not the time. The time is to do this training now. So whether you're feeling stressed or not, just practice the technique. 3 to 4 breaths, that's all it's going to take. That's less than a minute. If you feel like doing it longer because it feels so good, and it does, go do that. Go longer. That's absolutely okay. But we want to practice this so that when we have a reaction to something, we can just do it right away without a lot of thought. We can just go, right, I'm feeling a little stressed right now. Let me open it up. Somebody just cut me off in traffic. I just got that bad news. I just saw something I didn't really enjoy. That's the time then, because you've built the skills, that you'll be able to pull it right into real time and absolutely reset yourself. Now, if you're in a place where it's not cool to close your eyes, that's okay. Keep your eyes open, but just try to take a softened gaze where you're not really focused on anything in particular, especially that thing that might be irritating you, right? So just soften that gaze a little bit and you'll be just fine. You can also do this during activities like driving because this is not a meditation. It's really just a reset. Now, in that case, we don't want to take that lazy gaze. If you decide to do this driving and you have your hands on the wheel and you find yourself gripping it, maybe we just soften those hands a little bit And then we just do the breath work, right? It's not the whole process. You're not able to turn your head and, all the little other pieces that there are, but it's okay. It's again, just reminding the nervous system we're safe, we're safe, we're safe. And that's a way that you can use this technique to mitigate the fight or flight response. All right, let me know how that goes for you. And if you end up with any questions, by all means, always reach out to me. I'm available at any time to kind of refine this, help you hone it, whatever it is. But again, the more energy you put into practicing now, the better prepared you are for the day that life asserts an adversity, and you'll be able to navigate that with a bit more ease and grace. All right, friends, I'll see you at the next video.